Welcome to Schwermetallisch Reviews. Just recently I sat down with Chris of the band Absolva from Great Britain, the UK. They play, like power metal, more melodic stuff. Great band, great dudes, and I had an interview with Chris on his vocals and the new Output Live album from Europe. And it went well. The record is great. I wrote a review about it. So check this album out. Check this interview out. Have fun. Yes, Schwermetallisch here with Christopher Appleton of Absolva. Yeah, hi Chris.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I was that is my telephone, and I just didn't answer that call. But I saw from the number it was not the president, so that's okay.
Yes, it's very, very live.
The only call I would answer was would be Obama, by the way. Yeah, so to my distress, I have to say I didn't have Absolva on my radar until I was approached via Facebook to do a review and an interview, and to my surprise, it was like, oh well, they sound fucking great.
Oh, I'm glad it was a nice surprise.
Yeah. Kudos to you as a vocalist, because I'm a sucker for great voices, and yeah, you got one.
Oh, thank you very much.
That is always the centerpiece for me when listening to music. There are bands that are totally awesome, but lack the great vocals, and it's almost always like, okay, I'm out. So that was a pleasant surprise for me. Yeah, that is, by the way, a great live record. You really sound phenomenal live. Is that a bit tweaked, or is that actually how you guys sound?
That's how we sound. The Live in Europe album that we did, which was released last year, was kind of a product of the pandemic and COVID-19, because obviously we couldn't get together in the lockdown to write new material, record new material. And I was looking through all my hard drives. I have a lot of live recordings from many shows over the past few years, and I found these shows and I thought, wow, this sounds really, really good. And we haven't made a live album for a long time, and now we have 5 studio albums with this material to put on a live album. So I thought it was a great opportunity, and I really wanted to make a live album that was similar to like the 70s and 80s sort of live albums, where each song was from a different concert. So there was 3 or 4 different concerts that made up the set list of the live album. And it really worked, because the sound kind of flows, but you also hear the different voices of the audience, and then you've always got the audience participation between the band and the audience, like, come on, yeah. And that really comes across well. Some of my favorite live albums were AC/DC, If You Want Blood, You've Got It, which they recorded from many different concerts to make the live album, which I really liked, and it gives me a good opportunity, because we can say, oh, Code Red, well, we played that on each show. Where did we play this song the best? Which concert did we play this the best? and then that was the one we featured on the live album. So very, very proud of this live album because it does sound so good, and I especially love the artwork also, because we have our artist who also did this side-by-side artwork, which is behind me, and he's a guy called Akirant, and he's got the best CV background you can possibly have for an artist, because he works for Iron Maiden and he works for Star Wars. So,
Oh, okay.
so I thought, well, you can't really get much more credible than Iron Maiden and Star Wars together. So he came up with a great cover.
But Star Wars alone would be enough.
Oh yes, indeed. Well, he did a great job, and it was the first time that our faces as people went on the front cover. All our different albums usually have the different artwork, different logo, different colors. This was the first time we were brave enough to put our own faces on the front. I thought, well, we're not too ugly, but we're not supermodels yet. So, you know, we chose wisely. It looks fantastic. And when I look at it, I do think, oh, this looks like Absolva in the new Star Wars sequel.
A New Hope.
Yeah, A New Hope.
I have to say, what I like about that artwork is that it looks like a classic heavy metal cover artwork, but without the you're not looking like you want to murder someone. It's like you're looking like normal people, you're smiling, and that is a nice contrast, I think, in itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's a problem that I've had for many years, and you know, with our current stage wear, we always wear a lot of blue denim. And I looked back on a lot of our old photos and photo shoots and sessions, and there's a lot of the photographs were all stood there with a grim face. And especially in England, if you say to somebody, hey, check us out, we're Absolva, we're a heavy metal band, they instantly think like death metal with Cookie Monster vocals. Heavy metal doesn't really have the connection to Iron Maiden, Saxon, and that kind of thing to normal people anymore. They kind of almost consider that to be classic rock or something now. And heavy metal is, which is no offense to those guys at all, but for our sound and Absolva the way we sound, we couldn't be further away from that kind of style. So I thought, well, let's go more blue denim, and for this live album, let's choose some live photographs, and you know, that's how we perform, that's how we play, and so I think it's worked. You know, there's a lot more people that kind of connect with our sound with that, and I've just tried very hard to make a small adjustment to our stage image to make that happen. So it's good. I'm very proud of the album.
But the problem you stated, I know exactly what you mean. It's in Germany, it's the same. If you say you listen to heavy metal, it's always you listen to and it's like no. But the comparison to classic rock doesn't even appear in the minds of the people, because no one listens to fucking classic rock here. It's always just, I listen to hip hop, I listen to, I don't know, do you know Schlager?
Schlager.
Oh, it's the worst. It originated in hell. I'm sure.
Is that right? Well, maybe we're not blessed with the dancing skills for Schlager.
Schlager is really it's the worst. It's I think they have templates for everything. It's like, oh, I need a new hit single, and they press a few buttons and everything comes together, and then they play 2 chords and that's it, and they make tens and hundred thousands of euros out of this shit. And yeah, it's really seldom here that people actually listen to metal or rock. But I get the notion that people always say, if you mention Maiden, Metallica, all the older bands, the big bands, that people nowadays say it's dead rock or it's classic rock, and hey, no, that's metal, really. Yeah, it's complicated and stressing me out sometimes. But to come back to your album Live in Europe, I didn't notice that it was different concerts. Sound-wise, you have no chance to notice it outside of a band. It really sounds very homogeneous. Oh, homogeneous? I don't know how to speak.
It's got quite a continuous sound to it. I did most of the production on and the mixing of the album, and the main task was to have the drums very consistent, because each show you've got different position of microphones, you've got a different size hall, different size stage. So to make the drums kind of sound consistent in an album, for a live album, we were using some drum triggers in the studio, but not a lot. But lots of automation with the levels. But I just trusted these things. I just trusted my ears, mainly. What sounds good? Does this sound level? Does this sound as loud as the previous song and the next song? It, just let things kind of happen naturally.
Great sound. And what wondered me the most, the biggest surprise sound-wise for me, was that I actually was able to hear the bass, and that's a really big problem for me as a writer. Most of the time, if you review a metal band with 2 guitarists, or even with 1 guitarist, you have no chance to actually hear the bass, because when you have if you have 2 guitarists, I think production-wise or mixing-wise, it's like, okay, we can mix it like we hear 2 guitars, or we hear 1 guitar and 1 bass, but I don't know how to mix it so we can hear everything. And yeah, most of the time the bassman is the one that suffers when it comes to the mix. And yeah, with you, I heard it in the live recording, and that was really great, because I grew really fond of the bass sound, because most of the time I can't hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bass guitar, I think in a lot of modern metal, you kind of feel it rather than hear it. And then that kind of gets lost in with this wall of guitars. And so you can't actually hear exactly what the bass player is doing, but you kind of just know he's there. Otherwise it'd sound empty. Whereas we kind of, with our style, Carl, the bass player, is a huge Steve Harris fan, and instantly you have a tone that has a lot of high frequencies and not just the low frequencies, because it's the bass guitar. So you've instantly got this recognizable tone that's really piercing through, almost fighting through these loud guitars in a live situation. It's like, you will hear the bass through these guitar solos. You will listen to my bass with these guitar riffs. And it works, it is its own instrument. It's not just something to fill lower frequencies in the mix. It is a unique and its own instrument in our sort of Absolva world.
With the UK in lockdown at the moment, how long is it? How long ago was it that you last seen your brother?
I saw him when restrictions were loosened at some time in the last year, but I've not seen much of him at all. I live in Manchester, and Luke, my brother, he lives in Birmingham, in the home of the home of heavy metal. And,
Sabbath.
so yeah, and the other two guys, Carl and Martin, I've not seen them since last March. Martin, the drummer, he lives not too far from here in Manchester, but we haven't really had opportunity to see each other or much reason to. And Carl, the bass player, he lives down right the other end of the UK in the south. And I've not seen him since March. And really, we don't really see each other that much in between touring and in between studio and rehearsal. Obviously, I'd see my brother a lot more. But with no shows, no studio work, it's always been a big blessing through this pandemic that we've had Skype, Zoom, FaceTime. The technology has been there, so we can talk to people remotely like this. I don't even think that 5 or 10 years ago we could communicate the same with people on laptops and phones and the technology. So I do think it's an improvement that we have had this, because I think some of us would have gone insane.
Yeah.
So I do think it's good to keep in touch with people like this. But we're really keeping our fingers crossed that we hopefully by the summer season, more people getting vaccinated, the rates are coming down, the warm weather, I hope, will return.
Yeah.
And we had some quite nice weather in England this last year, and I was really surprised. I thought, oh well, for once I'm not touring across the world and I'm in England, and then there's lovely weather. It's just shame I can't really appreciate it properly because there's no bars, restaurants, festivals, concerts, but at least we have got some nice weather. So
Yeah.
it's been a difficult time with the pandemic, but I've just tried to stay busy. I had the work with the Absolva live album. I also play for Blaze Bailey, so we've been working on remotely his new studio album, which is finished now and will be released later this year. So it's just trying to stay active and occupying my time and our time, moving forward.
Yeah, I know what you mean when you say staying busy to not lose your mind. It was I was starting to write again 2 years ago in May 2019, and I really worked an awful lot on this whole thing here last year. I write reviews, obviously, and I started my own YouTube channel in July, because I thought I have to evolve this thing. So I'm not satisfied with just writing reviews, and wanted to do even more. So got over 26 interviews done since July, and a couple of hundred write-ups for bands and stuff like that. And it keeps your mind together to just do stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's keeping busy, keeping the mind active, and we don't turn into vegetables.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we could drink alcohol and watch Netflix all day, but we don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, nothing wrong with that if somebody wants to.
Yeah, but not all day. Not all day. I'm turning to jelly on the couch if I spend all day on the couch.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
bones.
yeah. I've been trying to do as many walks per day, and I carry my phone with me so it will tell me how many steps I'm doing per day. And I'm just thinking, if I just do some sort of exercise every day, then that's better than nothing. And if there's
Yes.
ever a day where I look and think, well, I've not left my house, well, that's probably pretty bad. So I try and do it at least just some walking outside every day, and again, it helps me not lose my mind.
Vitamin B.
Yes.
Yeah, and D. The sunlight is good for your immune system, and you need that because it's a pandemic.
Yeah, that's right.
So you play with Blaze Bailey and you play with Absolva. You sing for Absolva, and yeah, it seems you're quite a fan of old British rock and metal music.
Yeah, that was the music I grew up with. I've got quite a musical family, so my mother and my father all into the classic hard rock and heavy metal, and probably started turning to that kind of music when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and that was kind of my main influences and my main drive for Absolva, and especially the twin guitar thing. So I love harmony guitars. So I love the sound of Iron Maiden and Thin Lizzy, and I made this description to someone else a few weeks ago. When you listen to country and western music, and you listen to the female voices doing these beautiful harmonies with their voices, and it's very majestic. Even if you don't like country and western music, you listen to these voices and it just sounds nice to the ears. And I thought, well, this is exactly the same with me when I hear Thin Lizzy guitars and Iron Maiden guitars, and you listen to these harmonizations on the guitar, and I just think, this just sounds great. This sounds lovely to listen to. So that's the kind of comparison. And so I wanted that in Absolva, make a real big point of the two guitars, harmonies, dueling solos, big choruses, and everything I kind of love about Iron Maiden, Saxon, Judas Priest, Motorhead. Those are kind of all the things that I liked about that era. Very honest sort of sound, and not too much with the production. So it's very focused on the instruments, the songs, the sound of those particular instruments. And so that's what we try and do. That's kind of Absolva's identity.
So little game here. Favorite Thin Lizzy song on 3. 1, 2, 3. Cowboy song.
Oh, for you.
Yes.
I was going to say, I was leaning towards cowboy song, but then I was going for Black Rose.
That is great too.
It's a very difficult question. Doing it on 3.
I think Emerald is awesome too, and of course, Boys Are Back in Town, Jailbreak, Romeo and the Lonely Girl. Almost the whole Jailbreak record it's like a best of.
Yeah, and I think again going back to their live album, Live and Dangerous, and sometimes it's got a bit of scrutiny for having too much overdubs, but every time I listen to it, I just think, well, I just forget about it. I thought, well, let's just listen to the sound. Let's listen to the concert and how they wanted it to sound to us. And their song selection was fantastic. I still love Live and Dangerous, and probably Jailbreak and Black Rose are probably on a similar par to me. I'm a big Gary Moore fan, you see, so it's, you know, people ask me questions. Oh, which Thin Lizzy guitarist is your favourite? And it's like, well, I love them all, but Gary Moore's my favourite outside of Thin Lizzy. Put it that way, you know. So it's it's a big part of my life. The double guitars and that era of music.
Yeah, it's every time I hear a band doing that and doing it well, it's I just want to go to the Bandcamp page and just buy everything. I'm a weak man when it comes to twin guitars. It's kryptonite. You should check out Witch Hazel.
Oh yeah.
If you don't know them already, they have a new record out, and it's I think if you're a fan of Maiden and of Thin Lizzy, you will love them.
Yeah, sounds good.
It's you know, they have really a majestic sound, and the vocalist is somewhat more on the calm side of singing most of the time, but he can switch from that to kind of a Manowar scream,
right?
And that took me by surprise. It was like, what the fuck just happened? Because it was like, yeah, it's totally chilly here, and it's totally calm, and it sounds a bit like 70s, a bit like Thin Lizzy and all, and really beautiful. And then there's this part where he screams, and he screams like Eric Adams,
right?
And it's like that. I didn't think that I will ever listen to a vocalist again that can do this.
Yeah.
Because Eric Adams cannot do this anymore. So yeah, okay, we're out of this. But he's really great. So I think you will enjoy this. Of course, I have a few questions left. That is the wrong one. Yeah, we talked about the artwork. Of course. Yeah, you haven't been able to rehearse for quite a long time, so you decided to do the Live in Europe record. Are there any plans for the future?
Yeah, we're at the moment we are working on some new material. We're doing some writing. Of course, we're all, you know, individual. We're all separate towns and everything. So a lot of the first songs and the first demos that I'm putting together are mainly myself in Manchester. But we're planning on releasing a new studio album sometime this year. Keep ourselves busy with it. Again, the glory of the technology is this is how we recorded the Blaze Bayley album. Is everybody recorded their parts at home. We emailed the tracks to each other, including the drums. Martin recorded his drums at his home and sent all the tracks to us. And it was challenging because it's not the same as everybody getting into the same room and feeling the vibe. Well, you've almost got to work on that. You've got to kind of put yourself in the mindset and get the groove on, and imagine yourself being in that, you know, situation. So, Absolva, we're working on the new material. we're going to release the new album sometime this year. Hopefully, if restrictions are loosened and the vaccination process gets better, we might be able to actually get together as a band. But if not, we're gonna give it a good go by doing it remotely. And the fans want something more. Our last studio album was last year in April, but our fans just seem to be always hungry for a new album. So even
that is great.
After the, only a few months after the last album, so when's the next one? And I'm like, whoa, give us time, give us a bit of time. And I'm hoping things will get better in the summer for concerts. If there's a lot of outdoor festivals and open air festivals, we already have a lot of bookings in, because a lot of last year's festival season just got transferred to 2021. And we're probably going to do more touring in the UK if we're traveling by bus and van. Yeah. But if we're flying out to festivals, then that's going to be mainly summer season. And then for a full headline tour again, it's probably going to look more like 2022 to make it safe, because we've had not only the pandemic, but we've also had a lot of issues with Brexit, with the conditions and visas and customs and etc. It looks like an absolute minefield for bands and artists. So we kind of thought, well, when we do come back, A, we don't really want to worry about the virus, and B, we don't really want to be the guinea pigs of Brexit. We don't really want to be the first ones in. We want everything to kind of settle down, calm down, everybody get used to the rules and regulations for Brexit, so we can kind of slip into it and everything's a bit more organized for us.
Yeah, that will be a different kind of beast the next time. Yeah, I think it's good that the UK is the bit. They started to vaccinate people 4 weeks ago. So
Yeah,
you're a bit ahead of us, for example.
I think it's we've definitely been moving fast. My grandfather who's 95, he's had his there's meant to be 2 vaccinations. You have the first one and the second one. He had his second one last week, which was very good news for him, being 95 years old and very worried about coming into contact with anybody, even the postman. And he's very, very concerned. But we also worry about him because he was a very able 95-year-old man. But then if you're told to stay at home and sit and do nothing, and don't go near people, it's worrying, for people like that. The health, will disintegrate, very quickly.
Yeah.
So we're glad that he's been vaccinated, and now we can, go out for walks, in his area near his home, and not worry too much. But I think there's still a long way to go. I think, with the new variant of the virus and the new things that happen, I think we've all got to really stay alert, because there might be another new variant, there might be another change, and I think it's worth us all just staying safe. And with concerts, people always ask me, will you do a reduced number of people for a concert? And I'd just prefer to wait until things are really safe, because I don't think I could deal with the mental strain of telling people, come to an Absolva concert, then the next day I find out somebody's in hospital with COVID-19 because they came to an Absolva concert. It just wouldn't feel nice for me knowing that I've done that to somebody. So I think it's a responsibility that everyone's got to have as well.
There's a few bands in the United States that think exactly otherwise.
Right.
It's really like Kid Rock, for instance. He said he won't close his barbecue bar, and he refused. Really, that piece of shit. It's my channel. I can say that he's a piece of shit, and that's totally unacceptable, and it's the perfect opposite of being a moral-driven person to do stuff like that. Come to my bar and eat my fucking chicken wings. Yeah, I don't care if you drop dead as long as you pay me. You can't do that, and I really hold you in high regard when you say you can't do that because it would drive you nuts to invite people over to a concert. That is good.
I think for me, because we're an independent band, you know, we many years ago we set up our own record label because we couldn't get a record deal. So we release our own albums. So, and we've stuck by that. And the longer it's gone on with releasing our own albums and doing it our own way, the more I just have become more comfortable with doing that, because we have this fan base, you know, and it's a small fan base, but it's a really loyal fan base. And then if we release a new album, they will pre-order the new album from all these countries across the world. And at the end of the day, they help me being a full-time musician. You know, they are paying my wages. You know, they keep me going. They make it possible for me to tour. They make it possible for me to make another album. And you know, being a full-time musician is number one, you know. So for me to put the people who pay my wages and support me for my passion, to put them at risk knowingly is not good for my conscience. You know, it's I need these guys as much as they, you know, need me. You know, it's an understanding as well. You know, it's a love for each other. And I'm not this sort of person that inflates ticket prices massively. So if you've got less people coming, but you're still making the same money, that just doesn't make any sense to me either, because there's been a lot of struggles with people's jobs through this pandemic. So there isn't a lot of money in the world at the moment for everybody. You know, everybody is in the same position. There's not many people I know that have really benefited from this situation, be it mentally, financially, or anything like that. It's a big thing, but we've got to feel positive to get through it. You know, at least we can see there is a way out. You know, but I think until then, we've just got to be careful.
Yeah, I looked up your merch, of course, but I can't remember if there's already Absolva masks.
We didn't do Absolva masks. I was kind of thinking about it, but and so I know some other bands and some friends of mine have done their own masks, but it wasn't something I was, because again, if somebody caught coronavirus and they had a photograph in hospital with an Absolva mask on, there's kind of things like that. I feel it might sound stupid, but it's one of those things that and some band, I can't remember what the band was called. but they were selling masks that weren't properly ventilated, or they weren't ventilated enough to keep the virus out. So things like that, I try and keep out of it. I'm a simple man.
Yeah, I think it's okay to say you don't want to profit of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's probably a better way of putting it. I don't want to profit over somebody's misfortunes. I was amazed with the support that we got when we released the album Side by Side in April 2020 last year, and so it was pretty much right in the middle of the first lockdown and the pandemic. And I was absolutely amazed that we did not just the same amount of pre-orders, but almost double the amount of pre-orders we did for the previous album. Now, I put that down to maybe a lot of people thought, because a lot of people buy our merchandise at shows, and because we are independent, we can sell our CDs at shows. So whether a lot of people thought, well, I better pre-order this album and buy it from Absolva's web shop because they probably aren't not gonna tour in my country this year, or whether they thought we'll support them, or whether because I was at home a lot more promoting the album, and I had a bit more time on my hands. But it was amazing the support we got for all the releases. But I do stand by what I said is, I'm not forcing anybody to purchase anything, especially, but there's a lot of people out there that really could do with the help and could do with the money. So it's one of those. I want to just do everything the right way.
Yeah, that's most of the time that's a more difficult way.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I have one final question for you.
Sure.
And most of the time, this one is a difficult question. What is your favorite song to play?
Favorite song of Absolva or any song?
Of Absolva.
Absolva is probably Rise Again from the Defiance album. It's been one of my favorites since we wrote the song. I knew it was going to be a great song, but the more we kind of played it live and the more I was singing the lyrics, the more it came alive, and it has a real, again, Thin Lizzy, Iron Maiden sort of sound. And the lyrics mean a lot to me. It is a Rise Again. A lot of our songs have a positive message, so it is picking yourself back up. Don't be down, depressed. You can lift yourself up, never back down, live for the fight. It's all trying to make people feel good about themselves. Never feel that if you're unhappy at your job or if you're unhappy with your life, it's never as bad as it seems. So I always try and send a positive message with a lot of our songs, and Rise Again, I think, sends that message, but it's also a very personal song to me as well. It feels like, if ever you're feeling like you're on a bit of a low, you can always pick yourself back up again and you can always recover. So Rise Again from the Defiance album. And to be honest, there might be a song from the new studio album that could be my new favorite, but we haven't played any of those new songs live yet. So I'll do an updated interview with you when we've played the Side by Side album live.
Very welcome. Yeah. Okay. I realized because I like to sing as a hobby. I realized that a few years ago we started to to do karaoke when we were partying, and it was like it was SingStar for the PlayStation at that time, and I realized there are songs when you listen to them, you think, okay, that song is pretty cool, okay, but if you sing them, they come to life, and some of those songs became favorite songs of mine. Kaylee from Mr. Mister. If you ever happen to sing that song, you realize it's fucking great.
Yeah.
And or Under Pressure. I always loved Under Pressure, but if you sing this song with both voices and the interchanging highs and lows and the highlights in the song and the structures, you realize that it's an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah. Good camaraderie.
Yes, of course, and it's great fun. It doesn't matter which part you sing. If you sing Bowie or if you sing Mercury, it's both parts are really fun to sing, but in a totally different way.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what makes this song so great, for me,
Cool.
at least. So yeah, I have to thank you for your time, and I really hope this COVID shit show blows over very soon, and we can welcome you in Germany for a headliner tour, because now that I tasted blood, of course I want to see Absolva live, and my friend is he will surely travel to do so together with me. So yeah, this has to end soon.
Yeah, I think the nearest shows we do to you is we do some shows in Dortmund, Krefeld, Siegen. I don't know how far. I think Siegen might be further away. I'm not sure.
Dortmund is about 30 minutes from here.
Oh, so that's quite close.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool.
So yeah, we played some nice shows around that area. So I will let you know as soon as I have some bookings for 2022 for the Absolva headline tour. And of course, if you want to come to a Blaze Bailey show, let me know, and I'll tell you what's the nearest show to your area.
I will keep that on my radar, of course.
Yeah, great.
Never saw Blaze live.
Well, it's gonna be an interesting new tour because we're gonna have a lot of new songs. The new album sounds great, and it's almost sounds like another fresh start for Blaze, really, because we've got a lot of heavy songs, we've got a lot of big songs, and really happy with the production, and for me it probably sounds like the best vocal performance of Blaze's solo career, so far. He's sang very, very well on this new album. It's almost like he seems to be getting better with age rather than getting worse with age. So it's how he kind of does that, I don't know. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being back on tour, full stop, because I used to spend most of my time on tour, and now it's kind of flipped. So yeah, it'd be good to meet you in person.
Yeah, we'll have a beer.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for the time, and greetings to all your loved ones, and stay safe out there.
Thank you very much, and you too. Thank you very much for the interview.
Be my guest. You're very welcome. Bye.